Welcome to the Bracket Factory and welcome to the latest thrilling episode in neither the American LaFrance V12 project or the Nearer car project. And that's because I decided I needed a bit of a rest. And they say a change is as good as a rest, so for a change I went on a couple of little road trips and saw some friends, learned some stuff, got my hands dirty and had some fun. So this is what happened. I'm on the road again and today I'm off to see Metal Shaper Tom. Now, Metal Shaper Tom has a channel of the same name, and what Tom does is exactly what it says on the tin. He shapes metal, but more specifically, he shapes aluminium metal to make bodywork, and he is exceptionally good at it. So we're off to go and look at what he's been making. He's made a very, very impressive body for a special, but also I want to pick his brains because I want to make a body for my big V12, and apart from all of the skills that are required, which I don't have yet, I'm going to need lots of equipment. So we're off to pick his brains to find out exactly what I need to get. And I'm on the road, so of course this is de rigueur. A big old Rolls Royce, very nice. So I've arrived at my destination and we're off to try and find Tom. Hello Tom, hello Tom. Here he is.
Hello.
Here's the man, the legend.
Welcome.
And this is where, hello mate.
Nice to meet you. You're right.
And this is where all the magic happens. So I think the first thing we're going to do is have a good look at this car because it is absolutely awesome. So Tom, this is your masterpiece.
Yeah, so 1935 Austin 7, heavily influenced by a lot of French cars that I've worked on. My goal for this basically was for it not to look like an Austin 7 once it was complete. I wanted it to be very sort of Amel car and Bugatti-esque really, so it's heavily influenced by that. So hopefully it doesn't look too much like the Austins that are out there. A bit
Absolutely
different.
Fantastic. So your starting point was basically an Austin 7 chassis.
Yeah.
And then what was the very next step? How did you create the vision?
So the vision's always been in my head, but to bring it to life, it started with the cardboard template. Just making the silhouette. I don't know if you can see that, but on there. So I just drew the silhouette of the shape that I wanted to create.
Yeah.
What's left of the cardboard.
Awesome. I'm going to need a lot of cardboard for my template, that's for sure.
Then I went on to the wireframe up here. So this is just bringing that silhouette to life. From this I got a few key datum points for the framework, and I sat in there and got the proportions hopefully somewhat near, and then from that point I then went on to the aluminium framework.
Cool.
Which is obviously all in here. So the bit on the scuttle panel and just behind.
So basically the framework is then used.
Yeah.
You then basically skin the frame, don't you?
Yeah.
So the frame adds all the structural integrity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is all heavily influenced by aircraft, World War II aircraft. You know, with the dimple dies. I really like that look. But yeah, it does serve a purpose. It's mounted in several points around the car. It's really stiff. Adds so much strength to it. A lot stiffer than most of the specials that are out there. And then once I was happy with everything, and that took a long time to get right actually, I then went on to the bodywork.
Right,
and
okay.
So that's the nice bit that everyone wants to do, but it took me a long time to get there.
So I guess you only need two things for the bodywork. One is a massive amount of skill, and the other is all of the tools.
Yeah.
And now these are all the tools. So my plan is to build a body like this, except obviously much bigger. And I'm only missing two things. One, all the skills, and two, all the tools. So I'm going to get Tom to show me what my shopping list is. So then Tom, what are the tools of the trade?
Okay, so I couldn't have done this without the wheeling machine.
Right.
So this is just a really nice English wheel that I've managed to pick up. And I've done everything for the body on this. When it comes to the metal shaping, you basically either stretching or shrinking. So this would do all your stretching.
Right.
So
Okay.
you do all
So-
your shaping, yeah.
If I'm buying an English wheel,
Yeah.
I noticed there are English wheels on Temu. Okay. But there are also English wheels that are like $9,000.
Yeah.
So what makes a good English wheel?
You got to ask yourself what you're going to be using it for.
Yeah.
You know,
Or what makes a shit English wheel? What makes the terrible English wheel?
Yeah, the flex when
Right.
when you can't do it up and it flexes.
Right. Okay.
Then-
So this basically the stiffness of this frame
Yeah. If
is what it's all about.
yeah, if it's flexing when you when you do the pressure up,
Yeah.
that transfers through your panel. You can't shape as nicely. It's all inconsistent.
Right.
So if you can get yourself a cast one, then
Okay.
that's the way forward. But you can reinforce the cheaper box sections ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say.
So step one, buy myself a decent cast English wheel,
Yeah.
and I'm going to have to enlist Nat, I reckon, to help me lift it into the garage because she's dead strong.
Yeah. So this is a good one. I've done the whole car using this machine. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
there's
I
nothing-
mean, they obviously come much bigger than this, don't
Yeah,
they?
absolutely,
For
yeah, they're
bigger
more
panels,
yeah,
but you've
more
not.
industrial.
You've managed to build an entire car
Yeah.
using that English wheel.
Just using that, yeah. And I haven't got the budget for even though I do it full time at work,
Yeah.
I haven't got the budget here.
Right. Okay.
But to go and spend 4 or 5 grand on a one to come in
Yeah,
and use.
Okay.
So from that,
Cool.
the shrinker stretcher.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got one.
No.
or not. So definitely go for the foot operated one. It's just so much easier. You can hold your panel. So if I was just using it on the seat,
Yeah.
I can hold it here. And then I've got a couple of sets of jaws for that.
Right.
The shrinking jaws, I've got 2 sets. I've got one for thicker material or if I'm roughing out a panel. And then I've got a different set for if I'm doing body work. And
Okay.
that's a
So
bit finer.
they don't leave such big
Yeah.
gouge marks, sort of thing. Yeah.
But then you just buy a rougher file if you
Right.
put gouge
Yeah,
marks in and hide it. You've got your box pan folder, comes in handy. Oxyacetylene, very rarely do I actually use it because I do all my welding, do TIG.
You TIG, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, fortunately, I've already ticked the TIG box.
Yeah.
I can TIG weld, Ali. So,
I am going to make the manifold and exhaust system with that
okay.
for the car.
Right.
And I can do all the tube bending.
Yeah.
Obviously, bead roller, I've got a couple, but these are just the cheap ones. There's nothing special about them.
Right. Okay.
Planishing hammer, a very noisy and quick way of shaping metal. It's very different to the wheeling machine,
Right,
which is
okay.
silent, but it's good. It has its perks. I don't use it a lot.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
That's-
So that will be icing on the cake if I had one.
Yeah,
I wouldn't need one of those.
Yeah.
Could you have made that car without using that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could
well,
make
fine,
that. Yeah. So
yeah, fine, yeah,
very,
fine,
I don't
yeah.
think I've used it.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I won't get one of those then.
No. Little benchtop mini wheel.
Okay.
Again, they're cheap, but there's certain parts on that car around the tail where it's real tight
Right.
radius,
I see. Okay.
which I've had to do the shaping with that, so that they're not great, but for a couple £100, it's earned its money on that tail of the car, Nice set of snips.
Yeah. Aviation snips.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
I've already got those, so I've saved myself a few quid.
Yeah, always get like the cranked head on them. It's just so much easier to cut with. Nice set of files.
Right. Okay.
Just to knock off your weld or your high spots.
Yeah.
You don't really want to be taking a huge amount of material off. You're literally scuffing it
Right.
for
Okay.
a witness mark.
Okay.
And then nice set of hammers.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite hammer?
Yeah. I do actually. I was given that.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. Doesn't look special, but that one I was given when I was 16 by an old foreman when I was at Morgan. And one of the cool little bits, the flat spot there, where we used to do all our wire edging.
Oh right, it's worn down.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So doing that, then I've got my flat spot.
Excellent.
So that's still the same handle. It's not like Trigger's broom, but it's still the same handle from when I was 16 on its last legs. Yeah. And I've got the folders.
Right. Okay.
Slightly larger folder.
Nice to have,
Roller.
not life or death.
No.
I don't have space for stuff like this, to be honest with
No.
you. I'm pushing it for space, but
But no, that's pretty much
Okay.
Pretty much it. obviously the CNC little plasma cutter.
Yeah, no, I use elbow grease. I don't have one of those.
Yeah.
So what's this? This looks like I'm going to need a lump of tree.
Yeah. The sandbag and the stump. Yeah, sandbag. So if you really want to generate a lot of shape quickly, you need your sandbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
So I mean, I've watched videos and you're literally smacking it to death, aren't you?
Yeah.
And just.
Absolutely, but yeah, you can do that. It generates a lot of shape very quickly, and then you go over to the wheel, smooth it out. You know, and it does smooth out very quickly.
Right, okay.
You know, you're not destroying the panel.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're consistent with your blows and they're kind of all linked up on there. But I've got different ones. So I've got that one that was made for me.
Wow.
So that one I use for making tucks, for shrinking.
Right.
And then if I want to then start generating some shape, then I've got two different types really. That's your traditional bossing mallet.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're the cheaper reproduction ones.
Okay.
You know, there's just a weight difference in how they feel really.
Awesome.
So, the sandbag and your tree stump, you know, it's nice to get a find a good
That's
stump.
a nice. I see it's got some high quality repair
Just
plates.
stopping it splitting as it was drying.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's the equipment. So in terms of this skill and experience required to make a body like this, how many years of experience do you have?
I started Morgan. I'm 38, so I started Morgan when I was 16.
Okay.
Yeah, 22. So I was at Morgan for about 6 years. Ran a fabrication shop for about 3 years, and I've done restoration since. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's working with different people. That's the key, I reckon. You know.
So 22 years. So I think I got my work cut out for me, haven't I? So it's about an hour later, and I've been on a crash course with Tom, and I made a bit of body. I don't know whether it's going to go on the car or not. Probably not. So I've only got 10,000 hours. I've got 9,999 hours left of practice. So I think that's probably about it. But there's one more thing I want Tom to show us, and that is his slappers.
So yeah, I can explain it. So these are the slappers I make, flippers, or spoons. They're called all different things all over the world. I use them. I've used this a lot throughout the whole process of the car. So when I'm joining a panel and I'm dressing it up and I want to blend the two panels together, you know, it's just because it's got a larger surface area. You know, rather than just a small face on the hammer. It just gives you a larger contact area, just makes it a smoother transition.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a low on the panel, a low spot, you know, you can stick the dolly up underneath it, and then I use the slapper, and then that will raise it. Again, for if you've got a high spot, you can then just knock it down with it.
Yeah.
Knocking edges over. It is basically like a long-faced hammer. Let me just, So if you think, because the hammers have always got like a slight crown, you never have like a hammer that's got a completely flat face. These are all nicely radiused, and you know, there's a bit of a crown for it, but it's a much bigger contact area.
Awesome. Everybody needs a slapper in their life.
Everyone needs
it. And you sell those, don't you?
On the shop. Yeah,
okay.
Over on the
That's
channel.
Metal Shaper Tom shop. Awesome. Thank you for that, mate.
That's all right.
So that's my apprenticeship finished now for the time being. It's time to head back to the ranch, back to the bracket factory, and start thinking about my shopping list. So massive thanks, Tom.
No,
thank you very much, mate.
Thank you for coming. I really enjoyed it.
I'll give you a shout, and you can pop round and sort my body out for me.
No problem.
Awesome.
Yeah, in a weekend.
Fantastic. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Worries.
So now back at the bracket factory after seeing Tom, and I've got myself a little souvenir, the thing that I made when I was at Tom's. I've also got a shopping list of things that I need, some expensive, some even more expensive. I've got an inkling of how hard this actually is. I mean, I knew it was hard, but it's very hard. And to become a master, it takes a long, long time. But I'm up for a challenge, so I'll have to see how that all goes. So a massive thanks to Tom for doing that. You have to go and see his channel. I'll put the link in here somewhere. The guy is awesome when it comes to making things out of aluminium. But now for something completely different. But first, I want to give a massive thanks to everybody who supported the channel and bought one of these t-shirts, either this one or the elbow grease one or the caps or the hoodies. Really appreciate it. It's really making a difference. Now these t-shirts are going all over the world, a lot in the UK, in Europe, in America, Canada, Australia, and some of you guys have been kind enough to send me pictures of you and your stuff, and a lot of you have got some pretty amazing stuff. So here's a couple of them. So this is Marty Mary from Texas, and as you can see, he's got a very large shed full of lots of interesting cars. And he also has a very, very good taste in motorbikes. Viewers of my channel will know that I do have a bit of a soft spot for Yamahas. And this is Stephen Templeton from Georgia with his lovely family. And that, my friends, is an Auburn Speedster. It's the V8 supercharged version. And viewers of my channel will know that my V12 actually originates from the V12 Auburn. So I'm particularly interested in that car. Pretty awesome, mate, and I'm sure there's lots more awesome stuff out there. Please do let me know. Anyway, it's now time for another road trip. So I'm on the road again. It's about 8:30 in the morning. It's already 22 degrees, so it's going to be an absolute scorcher today. And I'm off down to see Bryan at Oak Swamp. Now, I think most of you already know Bryan at Oak Swamp, but for those of you who don't, Bryan also has a YouTube channel, and Bryan also builds cars. Bit different from Tom's cars, Bryan's cars. Well, Bryan's specialist subject is making cars basically out of scrap, which involves a massive amount of ingenuity, which you'll see. Bryan's asked me to give him a hand with something, but I'm not entirely sure what. But what we may end up doing is swamping around, which basically means talking about cars, building cars, looking at cars, driving around in cars, anything to do with cars really, as long as they're old cars. Anyway, let's see how we get on. So I've now arrived at Oak Swamp and I'm just having a look around the yard. I can see this car here, which is the Shrew. I can't see Bryan. Hello mate, are you anywhere around? Is there anybody there? No, there's nobody here. Let's go hunting for him, shall we? Here he is, Hey mate, how you doing?
How you doing, brother?
Oh, not bad at all.
Thanks for coming down to see me.
Excellent, no problem. I understand you may have a special mission for me.
I do.
Excellent.
Right, I'm going to remove this bodywork.
Removable bodywork, excellent. And
now, as you remember, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
If anyone watches my channel, they'll know I've been struggling with this gearbox top, and if I take it apart, right. So this is the Monster Free. This is the Monster Free Speed, and where that shifter's got loads of what's going on? There it is. Right, there's neutral. What's happening with this shifter, you see? It does the left and the right, but it does this twist. If you look, see it? See that twist?
Yeah.
There. So that would be neutral.
Yeah.
Right, and it goes forward, first, second, and you can get it into third. But as you come out, as you go anywhere near reverse, I believe this, because of this twisting business, it pushes the both together.
Okay, so you're trying to put two gears in gear at the same time.
Let's do a demo. So we're in neutral, yeah. Right, so there's first. I'll just pop a couple of these bolts, just set them in there. First, fine. Second, fine. Then back into neutral.
Yeah.
Third, what you have to do, I think this is worn on the ball.
Yeah.
If you keep it straight and go across.
Fine, yeah.
Third, back into neutral. Go into reverse, there it is. Won't come out.
Right.
Get stuck in reverse.
Right, okay.
Because this is, when I built this, I made it rigid, so this wouldn't allow it to... to twist.
But
it did. Even so, it made it really stiff, and as soon as you get into... Let's see what's happening. Let's see what's happening when it's stuck in reverse there. It's this one, I bet you. Yeah, it's that one. That one gets stuck there.
Right, okay.
And it just wants coming down. So when this pulls back, it's obviously missing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough wear on this to be a problem. I think the wear.
It's in the ball joint, isn't it?
And this is why Mr.
Right.
Brackett is the man. Probably
Okie dokie.
drill it easy out or something. That's a threaded bolt, obviously, isn't it? There's no.
Don't know what it is, but I'm sure we can get to the bottom of it.
Will you do that for me?
For you, mate. Definitely, yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're sort of, we keep building it up, so I owe you a car in the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Take my pick.
No, but it's an interesting one. I thought of you because it's a fiddly bugger, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Have a look at it.
Yeah, also you can see that the actual end of this should be square. It's all worn out. Look, it's got great chunks missing out of it.
Yeah.
So it needs to remanufacture this bit.
I think here's another thing which is
because look, you can see it slides out.
Yeah, of course these have to be, you know. But this is why I thought of you. But worse than that is, how do you get it apart?
How do I get this apart?
Yeah.
So
these are easy. These just slide off, and these have got little.
Okay.
These have got little ball bearings.
So what we're going to have to do is going to have to cut this off.
We'll do that before you leave.
Because I can do that, but this has got to come out that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously this spring comes out that way. So yeah. Bit of a puzzle to get it all apart.
I think by the look of it, they never made it as a serviceable part.
Ooh.
There's that little end.
Yeah.
That goes on one of these. But if I did this, I would just knock it together. But I think with you doing it, Chris, I think you're more likely to make a proper job of it.
Right. Okay, well, we'll take it back to the bracket factory.
As you're going back to the bracket factory, as you're taking it back to the bracket, can you remember?
While I'm at it.
While you're at it, look at that lovely smooth. It's noisy though, isn't it?
Ah, it's fine.
I fired this up in third gear and let that spin with my eye balancing, and it was bang on.
Excellent.
Yeah. Right, there is one other thing.
One more little thing. Yeah.
Well, if you notice there's a hole.
Yeah.
Right, that's where the clutch activating arm will go.
Yeah.
I haven't got any of it.
Right. Okay.
Now, if we whip this, should we whip this apart now?
Let's take it all off and
Cool.
whip it off. So the engine is now out. It was a little bit of a fight. What we're going to do is we're going to whip this off and take a look inside, but we might just go to a quick car show first.
I'll go this way. There you go.
Give out the car show. Speedo drive. British parking space. American car, British parking space.
What do you reckon then, Christopher?
Yes,
Chris has been here pulling it apart, and so tell us what you're doing, Chris.
So while you've been playing, okay, just to be clear,
I've been working. I've had to go out on this.
While you've been playing with your toys and all your shiny shit, okay. Well, it's not shit, it's awesome. But anyway,
what have you? You've got the gearbox.
I'm measuring this, so there's a few critical dimensions. One is the distance of this face to that flange. I need that. I need the internal diameter of this, which is 46 mil.
Yeah.
And if I assume, say, a 10 mil overlap on this bearing, that takes us to an outside diameter of 65 mil, roughly, for the clutch release bearing.
Yeah.
And I'm taking this away, so I need to measure that. So then I've got all the critical dimensions to make the arm, the release bearing, the shaft, everything. You just need to raid your bearing pile and see what you've got.
Yeah, I'll go through the box of Reliant stuff and all of that, and we just take it. And what you don't need, dump if needs be. The size of that gearbox, Chris.
Dear little things.
Monster free speed.
It makes an Austin 7 gearbox look like something out of a lorry. Yeah. It's tiny, isn't it? So we're currently actually in the swamp itself, hunting
gearbox parts.
Shells around. We've got a few. Is this where stuff comes to die and then get resurrected?
This is where it's inspiration alley.
Okay, so this is
La Frog. It's a 2460.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a single seater with a stove bolt.
Yeah.
This is an Austin 8, which is going to have a Rover V8 and go drag racing.
Yeah.
This is a Morris 10.
Yeah.
That's going to have the body of La Frog on it.
Wow.
And have a Harley engine in it.
This is like the field of dreams, isn't it?
And then over there underneath all of that is a Rover 14 horsepower, just behind Julian.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a long.
And this is Julian.
Long load. This is Julian.
This is actually one of my favourites, Julian.
He is my favourite. It's my favourite vehicle.
He's awesome, isn't he? So that was my visit down to Bryan Oak Swamp, and as you saw, I somehow have managed to volunteer to fix the gearbox and also to make some parts to make the clutch work. So I think what I'm going to have to do now is head back to the bracket factory, review the situation, take stock and see what I've let myself in for. Right, now back at the bracket factory, and it's time to take a good look at that gearbox and see what I've let myself in for. So here's the Crosley gearbox and bell housing, and this is without doubt the smallest gearbox I have ever seen. So there's two problems. One is the gearbox selector mechanism is kind of worn out. I'll have a look at that in a sec. And the other one is there is no clutch arm release bearing mechanism or missing. So the two jobs that I've let myself in for is to make the new clutch release mechanism, which means finding a release bearing which I can use, fabricating some kind of arm. Now, because this is a single seater, we're going to have the rod coming out here, so a pedal can go on there somewhere. So let's take a quick look inside the gearbox and see what's involved. Right, this is where all the action happens. So you've got these two selector forks, which have got these sort of dogs in the shaft here. And this arm rocks from side to side in the neutral plane. But what's happened is that everything is just completely worn out. And this end of this arm here is completely knackered. And to make matters worse, the whole thing twists in this bearing. So the first thing we're going to have to do is basically take it all to pieces and work out what we're going to do about it. But if you want to see me do any of that, or you want to see me take the box back down to Bryan and test it, or if you want to see me do anything with the V12 or the NeroCar, or you want to see how it all pans out in terms of getting an English wheel and learning some skills, then you're going to have to tune in next time. So don't forget to hit subscribe, otherwise you won't get to find out about it. So if you like that, please do hit like. Please do leave me a comment. What would you do about that box? How would you tackle that? Bit of a challenge there. If you want to support the channel, please consider buying one of these t-shirts, either the Bracket Factory or maybe the Elbow Grease shop up there. But for now, that's about it. So thanks for watching.